he composed the Srimad Bhagavatam, which gives the essence of all the Vedas and all the scriptures in a beautiful form that can be relished. And then we see how Sukdev Goswami, he narrated the Srimad Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj. When Parikshit Maharaj was just about to die and there was only 7 days left, and during that time, Shukdev Goswami, he beautifully narrates the whole of Srimad Bhagavatam so that Parikshit Maharaj can hear and purify his life before he goes on to the spiritual world. And then we see how Suta Goswami, who was present during this conversation that happened on the banks of the Ganges, hearing that, he had also absorbed what was Srimad Bhagavatam. So then later on, when the sages of Naimisharanya, when they all gathered together to perform a sacrifice, they asked some very important questions to Suta Goswami. And then there, Suta Goswami narrates whatever he has heard during the conversation that happened between Shukdev Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj. So throughout Srimad Bhagavatam, we see that there are so many conversations between Vyasadeva and Narad Muni, Shukdev Goswami, Parikshit Maharaj, between Suta Goswami and the sages of Naimisharanya, between Prahlad Maharaj and Lord Nrsimhadev, and so many beautiful conversations throughout Srimad Bhagavatam. And in Canto 4, we see a beautiful long conversation that happens between Maitreya Muni and Vidura. So that is the setting for the 4th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And in this canto, there are 31 chapters. And all the 31 chapters, they describe about the secondary creation that was done by Lord Brahma and all the Manus. So we know that the primary creation is what happened from Lord Mahavishnu, Karanodakashayi Vishnu, from whom how this entire material universe, everything was generated and how creation happened. And then the secondary creation is how Lord Brahma creates with the material elements, and then the Manus and all their descendants, and how the parampara goes on like that. And in Canto 4, at the beginning, in the first chapter, we see the descriptions of the daughters of the Swayambhuva Manu, and then about all their descendants. So in Canto 4, we see different pastimes of various kings, of King Daksha, who performed the sacrifice, and then how Lord Shiva was not invited, and then that whole Leela that happened. And then we see the activities and pastimes of Dhruva Maharaj, and then we see King Vena, and then we see the pastimes of Maharaj Prithu. And then after that, we see the pastime of the Prachethas, who were the sons of King Prachina Barhi. So in chapter 24 of Canto 4, so here the conversation between Maitreya Muni and Vidura continues. So after speaking about all these different kings and all their pastimes, and about all the descendants of Prithu Maharaj in the previous chapters, now here Maitreya Muni, he goes on to describe more about the sons and the grandsons of Prithu Maharaj in that genealogical line. And as he keeps describing, he speaks about Maharaj Barhishat, who is then known as Maharaj Prachina Barhi or King Prachina Barhi. Now this king, that is King Prachina Barhi, he was ordered by Lord Brahma to get married to the daughter of the ocean, who was Shatadruti. Now Shatadruti was very beautiful. So Srimad Bhagavatam describes how their marriage happened and how Shatadruti, who was so beautiful, captivating everyone around, how she enters the marriage ceremony and how the wedding took place between King Prachina Barhi and Shatadruti. So there's a beautiful description there. And then this couple, they had 10 sons who were called as the Prachetas. Now these sons, that is the sons of King Prachina Barhi, Prachetas, they were very religious. They were of very perfect. They were perfect in their knowledge. They had such good behavior and they were endowed with all the good qualities. So they were like the very, perfect souls. And now what happened? The Prachetas, that is the 10 princes, we could say, the 10 sons, they were again instructed by their father, King Prachina Barhi, who asked them to marry and to beget children. So what did the Prachetas do? Now they practiced austerities. So they went into the ocean, and under the ocean they performed severe penances and austerities to then fulfill the order that was given by their father. So this is the setting for our Rudra Geet. Now how does Rudra Geet come in here? So when the Prachetas, when they left home and when they were heading towards the west to go towards the ocean, now on the way they met Lord Shiva. And that is where Lord Shiva, he is very pleased with the Prachetas, and then he offers them this prayer. He says he glorifies the Supreme Lord, and he gives a beautiful set of prayers that we can all chant beautifully. And he says to the Prachetas that this is such a pure and auspicious mantra that will give you all benedictions, and that will ultimately help you to attain your ultimate goal of life. And what is that? To serve the Supreme Lord. So at this point we see, now we know that this is a conversation between Maitreya Muni and Vidura. So Vidura is asking, why did the Prachetas meet Lord Shiva? And how did all this happen? And what did Lord Shiva say? And he is very eager to hear about the talks that happened between Lord Shiva and the Prachetas. So Vidura, he glorifies Lord Shiva when he is asking this question. And he says that it is not easy for anyone to come into personal contact with Lord Shiva. So who is Lord Shiva? He is a Gunavatar of the Supreme Lord, Shri Krishna. And Lord Shiva, he touches the material world, whereas the Supreme Lord, he doesn't. So that being the only difference, Lord Shiva also embodies all the qualities and the energies of the Supreme Lord. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that Lord Shiva does not incarnate just like that. He doesn't just appear for, nothing. unless there is a very specific reason and unless he is instructed by the Supreme Lord. Only then Lord Shiva incarnates. And Lord Shiva is the greatest devotee of the Supreme Lord. It is said, Vaishnavanam Yatha Shambhu. And also, Lord Shiva is one of the 12 Mahajanas, or the great personalities, the pure devotees of the Lord. So we know that Swayambhur Narada Shambhu Kumara Kapilo Manuhu Pralado Janako Bhishmo Balirvayasakirvayam. So Swayambhur Narada Shambhu. So Shambhu here refers to Lord Shiva, who is one of the 12 Mahajanas. And we also see how Lord Shiva, as the Gunavatar of the Supreme Lord, he takes charge of the Tamo Guna, or the mode of ignorance. So we see how Lord Brahma, who is in charge of creation, or the mode of passion, and then Lord Vishnu is the maintainer, and he is in charge of the mode of goodness. And Lord Shiva is in charge of the Tamoguna, or the mode of ignorance, and he is in charge of the destruction that happens in the universe. And he is assisted by Goddess Durga, the material energy of the Lord. So together, ultimately, they are also serving the Supreme Lord. So then Maitreya Muni, now he replies. He continues to speak to Vidura. And he says that when the Prachetas, they were going towards the ocean, on the way they saw a beautiful lake which was so calm and pleasing and quiet and peaceful. And in this water, there were many different types of lotuses that were blooming. There were blue and red lotuses, and some lotuses were blossoming in the night and some during the day. And the saffron pollen from these lotuses were just being thrown out into the air. And it was so beautiful. And there were trees and creepers, and there were bumblebees that were very sweetly humming around all these creepers. Then there were swans and cranes and many different water birds that were there on the shore of this beautiful lake. And as the Prachetas were seeing all this, and it looked like as if there was a beautiful festival, and suddenly they heard some musical sounds of different drums and kettle drums playing. And they were just amazed as Lord Shiva, he just emerged from that lake very beautifully, along with all his associates and all the musicians playing different drums. And then when the Prachetas, they saw Lord Shiva like this, they immediately fell down and they offered their humble obeisances to Lord Shiva. They immediately fell down to the ground and offered their Dandavat pranams. And then Lord Shiva, he was so pleased to see the Prachetas. And then he tells them that, I'm very happy that you are going to execute the orders that was given by your father. And now listen to a very pure and auspicious mantra that I'm going to chant. And please practice and please chant these beautiful verses. And then he begins the Rudra Geet. So that is what we are going to hear in a 4-part seminar. So that is today, tomorrow, and again next week on Friday and Saturday. We will meditate on the beautiful Rudra Geet, and we will hear and glorify the Supreme Lord, Shri Krishna, who is celebrated as the Purushottam, the best of all. So the first verse, which is Canto 4, Chapter 24, text number 33. Jitam ta atma vidvarya swastaye swastirastu me bhavataradhasaradham sarvasma atmane namaha. The translation: Lord Shiva addressed the Supreme Personality of Godhead with the following prayer. O Supreme Personality of Godhead, all glories unto you. You are the most exalted of all self-realized souls. Since you are always auspicious for the self-realized, I wish that you be auspicious for me. You are worshipable by virtue of the all-perfect instructions you give. You are the Super Soul. Therefore, I offer my obeisances unto you as the Supreme Living Being. So this is such a beautiful verse where Lord Shiva is starting by glorifying the Supreme Lord. Jitamta Atma Vidvarya. Jitamta means all glories unto you, O Supreme Lord, who is Atma Vidvarya. That means the best of the self-realized. Now what does this mean for us? So what is self-realization? When we hear about that, we hear about it so often and we wonder what it is. Now in our Krishna conscious philosophy, self-realization simply means that Shri Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and we as the individual souls are His servants, and we serve Him and we develop our love for Him and we revive our lost relationship. So we are trying to get back to serving Krishna and to try and kindle that relationship with Him. So here Lord Shiva is saying that you are the best of the self-realized. So what does that mean? Does Lord Krishna, does He have to realize who He is? So that's not the meaning here. So what it means here is, now there are living beings in the material world and in the spiritual world. And those in the spiritual world, all the devotees, all the personalities who live in the spiritual world, like the gopas, the gopis, even the cows and the animals, anyone in the spiritual world, they are all self-realized and they are all akshara. That means they are all infallible. Whereas we, all of us in this material world, we are all kshara, or we are fallible. We cannot be relied upon. Our strength or our prowess is all very, very limited. So, in the spiritual world of all those who are there, who is the supremely infallible? Who is that person? And that is Shri Krishna. So that is what Atma Vidvarya means. That He is the perfectly self-realized. He is the perfect person. And why? Because even Lord Krishna, even He wants to serve. Just as we want to serve him, he also wants to serve his devotees. So he serves Srimati Radharani, his mother Yashoda. He serves Nanda Maharaj. He serves the cows. And he serves all the gopas and the gopis. And he has this beautiful exchange of love with all of them. And he is teaching us how we have to also be in that relationship with him. So when the individual soul, when we realize that our position as the servant of the Supreme Lord, then we are in an auspicious position. So that is what Lord Shiva is saying. Swastaye swastir astume. O supremely auspicious Lord, please bestow that auspiciousness also for me. So Lord Shiva himself is saying that to the Supreme Lord. And then he says, Sarvasma Atmane Namaha. So the Lord who resides in everyone's heart. So we know that in the chapter 15 of Bhagavad Gita, which we are reciting throughout this month. Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishto mata smritir jnanam apohanam cha vedaischa sarvairahameva vedyo vedanta krit veda videva chaham. So sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishto. The Supreme Lord who resides in the heart of everyone as the super soul. So Lord Shiva is glorifying him and he's saying, Atmane Namaha, my obeisances unto you. And then Bhavataradhasaradham, that is, the Supreme Lord can be worshipped through his instructions, which are all perfect. So the instructions that come to us through the disciplic succession, through our Guru Parampara. Then what happens? We are receiving the perfect instructions because it is coming directly from the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna, and then it is being passed on to us through the Guru Parampara. Then when we try to follow that, we will not be misled. So that is what Bhavataradhasaradham. You are worshipable by the instructions that you give. And also we see that how Lord Krishna gives us the intelligence to worship him. So he says, Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayanti te. So he gives us the instructions on how to follow the devotional path, how to worship him. And then we see that Lord Shiva is ultimately, what is he saying? Now he wants to be fixed in his position as the Gurnavatar, as the Lord who is serving the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna. And then, so he says that you who are the supreme living being, to you I offer my humble obeisances. So we now go into the next verse, text 34. Namaha pankajanabhaya bhuta sukshmendriyatmane vasudevaya shantaya Kutastaya Swarochishe. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. My Lord, you are the origin of the creation by virtue of the lotus flower which sprouts from your navel. You are the supreme controller of the senses and the sense objects. And you are also the all-pervading Vasudeva. You are most peaceful, and because of your self-illuminated existence, you are not disturbed by the 6 kinds of transformations. So, Namaha Pankaja Nabhaya. So here Lord Shiva is beautifully offering his obeisances to the navel of the Supreme Lord, which is like from which the lotus sprouts, on which Lord Brahma resides. And then by hearing the instructions of Mahavishnu, then Lord Brahma creates. So, now between this verse, that is from 34 to 38, we see, the philosophy that is really behind all our, the learning. So we see about the Chaturvyuha expansions of the Supreme Lord, and how they take charge of different things. And then Lord Shiva is offering his obeisances to the Supreme Lord Vishnu through his expansions of Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna and Aniruddha. So through the next few verses, we will meditate on these forms of the Supreme Lord. So we know that from Lord Krishna, his first expansion is Lord Balram. And then from Lord Balram, we have the first Chaturvyuha, or the first 4 expansions that appear of Vasudeva, Sankarshana, Pradyumna and Aniruddha. And then from Sankarshana comes Narayan, and from Narayan we have the second Chaturvyuha, which is again Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna and Aniruddha. And then here from Lord Sankarshan again we have the Karanodakashayi Vishnu or Mahavishnu, from whose pores, from whose sweat, all the material universes are created. Then into each of these we see Mahavishnu impregnates as the Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. And from him comes the lotus flower from his navel, and then Lord Brahma appears there and he creates. And then in each universe, into all the living entities, including all of us, into our hearts, Lord Vishnu enters as the Paramatma, as Kshirodakashayi Vishnu, or the Super Soul, who is residing in everyone's heart. So here, Lord Shiva is saying, Bhuta Sukshmendriyatmane, who is the controller of the senses and the sense objects. So, the Supreme Lord, Vasudeva, he is controlling our senses, our mind, everything. So we will look at that a little bit more in detail in the verses that come after this. So who is the Supreme Lord? He is Rishikesha, who is the master of all our senses. So Lord Shiva is glorifying him, and he is offering his obeisances to the Lord who controls our senses. And he says that you are Shantaya, most peaceful, and Kotasthaya, that is, you are not changed, nothing happens. So the Super Soul who resides in our heart as the witness, nothing happens to him, nothing changes about him, or nothing changes about the Supreme Lord when he also takes an incarnation and when he comes into the material world and when he has all his leelas. Now, we are all, as living entities, we are also part of the Supreme Lord. But we are anu, or we are atomic. And therefore, all our strengths, everything is limited. And we go through all the different transformations. So there is hunger, there is thirst, then there is disease, there is old age, then there is illusion, there's death. So we are, subject to all these changes. It is said that, even every 7 years, all our cells are being regenerated, they are changed. And then we can see how when we were born to what we are now and what we will be in the years to come. We are changing constantly. Whereas the Supreme Lord, as the Super Soul, he resides in our heart and he is not subject to any of these changes. So he is Kutasthaya. Now also our soul is also not subject to these changes, but it does go on into another body and into another body and into another body until it actually reaches Krishna. So that is what Kutasthaya means, the one who does not go through any changes. Whereas us, we have this whole struggle of the material existence. And then Lord Shiva says that the Supreme Lord is always peaceful because of his prowess, that is Swarochishe, because of his self-illumination. Now he is all perfect in his knowledge, his activities, his form. Everything about the Supreme Lord is just on the absolute platform. So he is always peaceful. And therefore, when we as the individual souls, when we engage in the service of the Lord, then we can also be peaceful. So Srila Prabhupada explains that when we engage in the service of the Supreme Lord, then we come under the protection of Vasudeva. Then what happens? We can also be perfect and peaceful in our disposition. So, we now move into the next verse, text 35. Sankarshanaya sukshmaya durantayantakaya cha namo vishwaprabodhaya pradyumnayantaratmane. My dear Lord, you are the origin of the subtle material ingredients, the master of all integration as well as the master of all disintegration, the predominating deity named Sankarshana, and the master of all intelligence known as the predominating deity Pradyumna. Therefore, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. So here, what we understand is that the whole universe, everything in creation, it is maintained by the integration and disintegration of different material elements. Isn't it? When all the material elements, when they are all either put together or when they dissolve and when they are, when they are disintegrated, then it again goes back into a cycle and then it is again absorbed into the Supreme Lord. So here we see that it is by the power of Lord Sankarshana, who is representing the bala, the energy of Lord Balram. So it is he who is maintaining this entire universe. So here Lord Shiva is saying Sankarshanaya Sukshmaya. So Sukshmaya also means the subtle unmanifested material ingredients. That is our the mind, the intelligence, and the ahankar or the ego. We know that the gross elements of the earth, water, fire, air, ether, these 5 things, and then the 3 subtle elements, which is our mind, our intelligence, and the ego. When all these are, when they come into a play of, getting mixed, and when all this is integrated, then the whole universe is actually maintained. So it is said that Lord Sankarshana is the master of integration and disintegration. That is the beginning and the end. And then we have Pradyumna, who is maintaining it. So they're all forms of Lord Vishnu, isn't it? We see that. And how they are all, that is, they're forms of Narayan, and how they are engaged in this maintenance. So first it begins, and then there's an end, and then there is a middle, the maintenance. So it is Pradyumna who maintains. So we see that, so here Lord Shiva, he is then saying, Vishwa Prabodhaya, O Master of the development of the universe. So you, who is, who is taking care of the whole universe, and who is Anta Atmane, again, who is the super soul in everyone's heart, I offer my obeisances unto you. We now go into the next verse, text 36. So we are just doing, outline of all the verses. So today we will try and do a few, at least about 10 verses, and then tomorrow we will continue the rest. So we now look at text 36. Namo Namo Niruddhaya Rishikeshendriyatmane Namaha Paramahamsaya Purnaya Nivritatmane. My Lord, as the supreme directing deity known as Aniruddha, you are the master of the senses and the mind. I therefore offer my obeisances unto you again and again. You are known as Ananta as well as Sankarshana because of your ability to destroy the whole creation by the blazing fire from your mouth. So here we see that the Lord is addressed as Lord Aniruddha, who is the director of our mind. Srila Prabhupada says he is the director of our mind. And what does the mind do? The mind directs the senses. So in turn, we see that Lord Aniruddha, by directing our mind, he then also controls our senses. So in the Katha Upanishad, we see a beautiful comparison given to our body as the chariot. So our body is compared to a chariot. And there is a passenger who is sitting there. And who is that? That is us, the soul. And then we have a mind. And that mind is controlled by the Supreme Lord, Shri Krishna, as Rishikesha or as Aniruddha, who gives us the intellect. So he is like the charioteer. So he is going to drive this chariot. And how does he do? He holds the reins of the horses which are compared to our senses. So the horses are compared to our senses, which can be so wild, and they can go here and there and any which way. Isn't it? We can't really control our senses just by our mere will, and wish. It's just simply impossible. Because one day we will want to do something, another day it will be something else, and then, we make up decisions and then we can't fulfill our vows, or it just goes on and on forever. But when the reins of these horses, which is compared to our mind, when that is held by the charioteer. Who is the charioteer? Shri Krishna. So when we give our mind, or when we give our reins of these horses to Lord Krishna, then he takes charge. Then what happens? This chariot can go in the proper way. It can go in the proper direction. So it is said, Srila Prabhupada explains, that to do devotional service, one has to fix one's mind on the lotus feet of Shri Krishna. And therefore, Lord Shiva is praying to Lord Aniruddha. And he's saying that, for when Lord Aniruddha is pleased with us, then he can control our mind and he can help us to engage in the service of Shri Krishna. So we see that, Lord Krishna says, Manmana bhava bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. So he says, just engage your mind in thinking about me. Become my devotee. Offer me worship, and then I will take care of you. So Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport to this verse that Lord Krishna, through this, the four expansions that we saw of Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna and Aniruddha, he is the Lord of our psychic actions, that is our thinking, feeling, our willing and our actions. Now all these are controlled, isn't it? Like everything, anything that we do we can see that these four things are involved. We have to first think before we do anything. Then we have to have that bhava, we have to have that feeling to do something. Even to do service for Shri Krishna, we have to have that feeling of love. I want to serve you, Shri Radha Gopinath. I want to serve you, my Guru, Srila Prabhupada, with all my heart. So we have to have that feeling. And then we have to be willing to do something. So we have to make that conscious decision. Yes, I'm going to do this. I'm going to take up this service, no matter what. And then we have to act on it, actually. So there is no point if we just make decisions, have the feelings, and then we want to do something, but we have to bring it into action. So all this, how does it happen? With the strength of Lord Balram, who is our Guru, who is in our heart, through this expansion of Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna and Aniruddha. They are controlling all this for us, and then we can engage. So here Lord Shiva then goes on to say that Paramahamsaya. So Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he explains that Paramahamsa is another name for the sun god. So he gives a beautiful explanation how the sun god maintains all the planets and the universes. That is, the water is evaporated from the sea, and then the water comes back as the rain. So who is maintaining all this? The sun, isn't it? The sun god. So the water evaporates and then it comes back as rain, and then it produces grains, and then when the grains are consumed by the living entities, then life goes on and the universes are maintained. So here Lord Aniruddha is addressed. So another name is Nibhritatmane. and as Paramahamsaya. So all these are different names that are given to the Supreme Lord. So they are just being addressed with, very specific qualities or attributes that relate to them. And Paramahamsa also refers, as we all know, to persons who are completely purified, who are cleansed. So the Sun God helps to do that. Just as how, when anything is sterilized by heat, Srila Prabhupada explains very beautifully, anything can be cleansed or it can be sterilized by heat like that. Now our mind can be cleansed and made clear and transparent. How? By the power and strength that we can derive from Lord Aniruddha. So that is this beautiful verse where Lord Shiva is saying. And he says, Puranaya. Puranaya, of course, we know as the oldest person. But also, Lord Krishna is also ever fresh. He's also the Yauvana. So, it could look like opposite, but we cannot define Lord Krishna in so many words. He is just everything. So we now go into the next verse, text 37. Swargapavargadvaraya nityam shuchishade namaha namo hiranyaviryaya chaturhotraya tantave. My Lord, O Aniruddha, you are the authority by which the doors of the higher planetary systems and liberation are opened. You are always within the pure heart of the living entity. Therefore, I offer my obeisances unto you. You are the possessor of semen which is like gold, and thus, in the form of fire, you help the Vedic sacrifices beginning with Chaturhotra. Therefore, I offer my obeisances unto you. So, the understanding that we get from this verse is, or one of the interpretations by reading Srila Prabhupada's purport is, O my Lord Aniruddha, you open the doors of the higher planetary systems. That is, he offers us liberation. So Srila Prabhupada explains that to those who are purified in their heart, who are cleansed of all their sins, of all their material contamination, what happens when they have a pure heart, then they are offered liberation. Now, this comes in many different ways. Srila Prabhupada explains that for those who are involved in the karma kanda activities, that is, those who are involved in the fruitive activities, who are looking for results from what they do, and who are, engaged in the karma, the karmic way of following the devotional path. So, for them, they are elevated to the higher planets, like the Svargaloka or something. But then again, that is limited. From there, they have to come down. Whereas for the devotees who take to the process of the Bhakti Yoga, the liberation comes in the form of devotional service to Sri Krishna. So we can be liberated even in this very world when we are engaged in the service of Sri Sri Radha Gopinath. So Srila Prabhupada explains that when we take inspiration from Lord Aniruddha, then by his energy we can be engaged in the service of Sri Krishna. So before that, there are some very technical terms here. We will just touch upon them. We can't go into so many details because there is a lot to really read and, learn and absorb those things. So there is a mention of the Chaturhotra, which is described as the 4 aspects of ritual sacrifice, that is, by the priests of the 4 Vedas. So we have the 4 Vedas, the Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Atharvana Veda, and the Sama Veda. So the priests who perform those, they perform different rituals. So here, Lord Shiva is addressing that you as the Vedic sacrifice, who expands, that is Tantave, means who expands as the fire, and you, who help in all these sacrifices, that is, who the Lord who helps us in whatever we do, in our path towards Him. So to you, I offer my obeisances. So that's just putting it in simple words. So there's a lot to explain, but considering the time, we'll just move on. We go into text 38. Nama urja ishetraya pataye yagnaretase triptidhaya cha jivanam namaha sarvarasatmane. My Lord, you are the provider of the Pitralokas as well as all the demigods. You are the predominating deity of the moon and the master of all 3 Vedas. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you because you are the original source of satisfaction for all living entities. So this is another beautiful verse where Lord Shiva is saying that you are the source of all satisfaction. So, how do we become satisfied and pleased with something? When Lord Krishna is satisfied, because He is the source of everything. He is Sarva Karana Karana. So once Sri Radha Gopinath is pleased with something, then when we offer something to the Lord and then when we take it, then we also become automatically pleased. Because Lord Krishna is there in our heart, and when He is pleased, then we become pleased. So here first Lord Shiva says that you are the provider of the Pitraloka and the provider of the demigods, that is Urja. Urje, he addresses him as Urja, that is the provider of the Pitraloka. That is here, what Srila Prabhupada explains is that when one is born as a human being, now we all have different obligations. So we have to, any human being has obligations towards the demigods, the different demigods who look after us, and then to our forefathers, to our ancestors, and then to saintly persons. All these obligations are there for any human being. But when we get to engage in the service of the Supreme Lord, Shri Krishna, by taking strength from Lord Aniruddha, what happens? Then we are not obliged to any of this, because it is Lord Krishna who is also giving them the strength. So when we are serving the Supreme Lord through our Guru, then all of them, the demigods, the ancestors, the forefathers, the saintly persons, they are all covered in that. So it is said in Srimad Bhagavatam, Devarshi bhutaptanrinam pitrinam na kinkaro nayam rini charajan sarvatmanaya sharanam sharanyam gato mukundam parihritya Nityakartam. One who has given up material duties and has taken full shelter of the lotus feet of Mukunda is not indebted to demigods, sages, relatives, friends, forefathers, and so on, because they are all a part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. So one who has surrendered to the Supreme Lord, he doesn't have to be engaged in serving any of them. So that does not mean that we ignore them from a materialistic point of view, but what it means is that once the Supreme Lord is satisfied and when we serve Him, then everyone else is also taken care of automatically by the Supreme Lord. But to achieve that, we need the strength from Lord Aniruddha. And then here, Lord Shiva, he also addresses the Supreme Lord as the deity of the moon. So it is said that Soma, or the moon deity, is responsible for one's ability to relish food or the taste in anything. So how do we relish that taste? So how do we engage our tongue? When something is offered to the Supreme Lord and when He is pleased, and then when we accept it as prasada, then we are also pleased. So Srila Prabhupada explains that with the Lord's strength that is coming from Lord Aniruddha, we would be able to control our tongue. We would be able to control all our senses and engage them in the service of the Supreme Lord. Let's go to the next one. So we'll just do a few more and then we will end today. Text 39. Sarva sattvatma dehaya visheshaya staviyase namastrailokya palaya saha ojo balaya cha. My dear Lord, you are the gigantic universal form which contains all the individual bodies of the living entities. You are the maintainer of the three worlds, and as such, you maintain the mind, senses, body, and air of life within them. I therefore offer my respectful obeisances unto you. So here, Lord Shiva, he is offering his obeisances to the Supreme Lord in his form as the, in his Virat Rupa, in his universal form. So Lord Shiva, he's saying that, you are the super soul. And also, the individual bodies reside in you. So the whole creation, everything is actually coming from the Supreme Lord, from His universal form. And we are all also individual bodies that are there in this universal form of the Lord as a tiny little particle. So here Lord Shiva is offering his obeisance to the Supreme Lord in this gigantic form of the Lord. And he says Trailokya Palaya, the maintainer of the three worlds. So we saw that before as well, how the Lord maintains. And of how he also maintains our mind, our senses, and our body. We saw all that before. And therefore, Lord Shiva is saying that, to you, O Supreme Lord, in this Sarva Sattvatma Dehaya, in your form as the gigantic universal form, I am offering my obeisances. So we now go into the next verse, text 40. Artha lingaya nabase namontar bahiratmane Namaha punyaya lokaya amushmai bhuri varchase. My dear Lord, by expanding your transcendental vibrations, you reveal the actual meaning of everything. You are the all-pervading sky within and without, and you are the ultimate goal of pious activities executed both within this material world and beyond it. I therefore offer my respectful obeisances again and again to you. So here, what we hear from Srila Prabhupada is that through the sound vibrations that is received from the Vedas, from our scriptures, through the disciplic succession, we can understand everything. So all knowledge is revealed to us through sound. That is what is the most important point in this verse. That is Arthalingaya Nabhase. That is Nabhase, unto the sky. So what it means is how the sound is transmitted, isn't it? Through the vibrations that are there around us. And what sound vibrations are we hearing? That is the most important thing. Not just by hearing some material sounds, we just get knowledge. No. But by hearing Vedanta Shruti that is coming from the Vedas. Because the Vedas are also the Supreme Lord Himself. And then we see what is the essence of all the Vedas. As we saw, is Srimad Bhagavatam, and it is the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So simply by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, everything will be revealed to us. So that is what we can understand from this beautiful verse. And here, there is a lot to explain. I'm just trying to see how we can just quickly look at them. So, okay, so here Lord Shiva also says that you are the ultimate goal, or you are amushmai, beyond death. So what Srila Prabhupada explains is that when we have various pious activities, accordingly we are awarded, our next birth, or whether we go on to serving Lord Krishna in the spiritual world. So by accumulating pious activities over many, many births, then when we ultimately reach some purity, we can then get to serve Shri Krishna. Okay, we now go into the next verse. Pravrittaya nivrittaya pitradevaya karmane namo dharma vipakaya mritave dukkadaya cha. My dear Lord, you are the viewer of the results of pious activities. You are inclination, disinclination, and their resultant activities. You are the cause of the miserable conditions of life caused by irreligion, and therefore you are death. I offer you my respectful obeisances. So here, again, what we see is that the Lord gives us our inclinations and our disinclinations. That is, what does it mean? Pravrittaya, nivrittaya. What we accept and what we reject, or what we like. We like something, we accept it, and then we don't like something and we give it up. And also the choices we make, the right choices or the wrong choices. So, we see that how the asuras, they always forget the Lord. They don't want to serve the Lord. Whereas the devotees, they want to serve the Lord with love. So this remembrance of the Lord and this forgetfulness of the Lord is all given by the Supreme Lord. As again from the chapter 15 we saw, Sarvasya chaham hridish sannivishto mata smritir jnanam apohanam cha. Smritir, remembrance, jnanam, knowledge, and apohanam cha, forgetfulness. Everything comes from the Lord. So, Srila Prabhupada explains that by all these choices are also given to us by the Supreme Lord. And therefore Lord Shiva is saying that you also put the living entities into these different miserable conditions where they have to go through these, material life and the difficulties because they've made some wrong choices. But because you are the source of even that, you even are the source of our own death, I offer you, he addresses him as Mrityave, unto death. I, who is the cause of all this, I offer you my obeisances. Okay, the next one. Namasta. So with this verse we will complete for today. Namasta Ashisham Isha Manave Karanatmane Namo Dharmaya Brihate Krishnaya Kuntamedase Purushaya Puranaya Sankhya Yogeshwaraya Cha. My dear Lord, you are the topmost of all bestowers of all benediction, the oldest and supreme enjoyer amongst all enjoyers. You are the master of all the world's metaphysical philosophy, for you are the supreme cause of all causes, Lord Krishna. You are the greatest of all religious principles, the supreme mind, and you have a brain which is never checked by any condition. Therefore, I repeatedly offer my obeisances unto you. So here the Lord is addressed as Ashisham Isha, that is the topmost of bestowers of benediction. So Srila Prabhupada explains how the demigods, the sages and great persons, they all give blessings. But how do they derive that strength to give blessings? From Lord Purushottam, the Supreme Lord. When they are blessed by Him, then they can in turn transfer those blessings. So here the Lord is called as Ashisham Isha, the topmost of the bestowers of benediction, Purushottam. And then he says that the Lord is addressed as Manave. Now Manave here has different interpretations, the supreme mind. So Srila Prabhupada explains that Lord Krishna himself and his mind, they are not different because they are all on the absolute platform, as we saw. Whether it is Lord Krishna's mind, his body, or his name, or his qualities, his form, everything is the same. So that's why the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is also not different from the Supreme Lord himself, and his mind is also supreme. And it also refers to the supreme Manu or the Swayambhuva Manu, from who is also an incarnation of the Lord. And Manave also refers to the perfection of all mantras. So of all the mantras, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, which is the Lord, Supreme Lord himself, so that also is related to, or it is referred to as Manave. And then we see that the Lord is addressed as Karanatmane, as the supreme cause of all causes. So we know that, isn't it? Sarva Karana Karanam Chintamani Prakarasadma Shukalpa Vriksha. So in the Govindamadi Purusham prayers, we see that the Supreme Lord is addressed as Sarva Karana Karanam. And he is the root and the seed of everything. So we can have a whole lecture just to describe this, important or this beautiful point that Shri Krishna is the cause of all causes. And here Srila Prabhupada explains, so from this we understand that nothing happens by chance. So we cannot say that, I don't know how this happened, or just by chance something happened. No. Everything has a cause and a reason behind it, and that cause is Shri Krishna. And then he addresses him as Dharmaya, or the one who is the original propounder of all religions, or the Lord who knows the best of all religions. So all the religious principles, who really establishes that, dharma, it is Shri Krishna. So we know in the pastime of Ajamila, when the Yamadutas came to take away Ajamila, and when he chanted Narayan, what happened? Immediately the Vishnudutas came and they protected him. So now what happened? The Yamadutas, they went to Yamaraj and they asked him, "Oh Yamaraj, we thought that you are the one who decides what is right and what is wrong and who has to be brought to you. And you determine when death happens to someone. And we thought you are our Supreme Lord. But now we see that someone else is controlling all this. Who is that?" And then Lord Yamaraj, he says, No, I am not the Supreme. Above me and above everyone and all the demigods is the Supreme Lord, Shri Krishna, who is the Supreme Controller. So he says, just as a bull is controlled by the ropes that are put through the nose of a bull, similarly, the Supreme Lord, Shri Krishna, he is the controller and I am not. And so he is the one who establishes the all religious principles. And it is also said, Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam. So what is the ultimate essence of all the religious principles? That we surrender to the Supreme Lord and that we develop our love for him. And he also addresses him as Purushaya. So in this beautiful verse, we will end with that, where Lord Krishna, where the Supreme Lord, Purna Purushottam Shri Krishna, he is glorified as Purushaya, Puranaya, Sankhya Yogeshwaraya, or the Lord or the Master of all the mystic powers, the Lord who gave the philosophy of how we can detach from this material world and then engage in the service of the Lord. And the Lord who is Akunta Medhase, who is ever fresh, who is eternal, and who is not checked by anything. Medhase, who is the supremely intelligent. So to that Supreme Lord, Shri Purushottam, who is eternal, who is pure, who is supremely intelligent, who is liberated, who is the source of all potencies, who is most merciful, and who is endowed with all good qualities, the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna. To him, Lord Shiva is offering his obeisances. So we will recite a beautiful verse from chapter 15 of Bhagavad Gita, and we will end today. And tomorrow we will look at the beautiful verses where Lord Shiva is glorifying the beautiful form of Shri Krishna, who is seen and adored and loved by his devotees. Yasmat ksharamati toham aksharad api chotamaha atosmi loke vedecha pratitaha purushotamaha. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Purushottam Mas ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrind ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.
सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भक्ति नैष्टिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च। श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकाकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभ